Hello, Phantom Fables followers. We continue our horror stories from where we left off. I hope you like it. A shroud of mist enveloped the gloomy forest. In the midst of this desolation stood an old, abandoned library, known in local legends as the Shadow Library. Sarah had underestimated these ghost stories, but that night would change her life and the lives of her friends forever. Sarah, Lisa, Michael, and Alex had come that night determined to uncover the mystery of the library. Over the years, various stories had claimed that shadows and ghosts roamed within these walls. They quietly opened the library's door and ventured inside. The dim light made the dusty books on the shelves appear as if they were whispering secrets to their faces. A heavy silence filled the library, but they sensed that something was amiss. Sarah noticed an old journal on a table. Its cover was worn, adorned with strange symbols. Lisa, driven by curiosity, opened the journal and started flipping through its pages. Suddenly, an eerie silence settled in the room. A ghostly figure materialized in the corner. Alex, trembling with fear, instinctively stepped back. Lisa pointed to a page in the journal and said, "Look, these symbols seem to be written in some strange language." Michael decided to decipher the symbols. Some of them were etched into the library's walls. They began their investigation and soon realized that the symbols were pointing to an ancient passage hidden beneath the library. They followed the symbols and found the hidden passage. Stairs led down into darkness. They descended cautiously, and as they reached the bottom, a heavy door closed behind them, locking them inside. They found themselves in an ominous place. The wind whistled through the old shelves, making it sound like a ghostly tune. Shadows flickered in the dim light, and the distant sound of a piano filled the air. The library seemed to come alive. Lisa noticed that the shadow was progressing through an unfolding story. The story documented the dark events that had occurred in this place. It told of a group of people who had once sought treasure in the library, but their spirits had become trapped here. Unable to move on, they sought vengeance. Sarah and her friends understood that these were angry spirits seeking revenge. They were trapped in this world, unable to pass on to the next. But there was no turning back now. The spirits grew more tangible, and the shadows watched them in fear, while the piano music grew nearer. Lisa managed to decipher the symbols in the journal. They represented cursed books that held the spirits past. Destroying the books could end the curse. However, facing the spirits to destroy the books proved to be a daunting task. The spirits, fueled by anger, surrounded them. Sarah and her friends fought bravely to end the curse, but the spirits tried to overpower them. After a grueling battle, Sarah and her friends succeeded in destroying the cursed books. The library fell into silence once more, and the spirits vanished, and the shadows dissipated. But Sarah and her friends were forever changed by the experience. The haunting encounter had left its mark on them. The library served as a reminder that the past could be filled with ghosts and shadows. This story, set in the depths of a dark library, haunted by ghosts, was a nightmarish tale. Sarah and her friends escaped with unforgettable fear, but the library remained a haven for ghosts and shadows. In a quiet, dimly lit corner of the old town, nestled among the cobblestone streets and centuries-old buildings, there stood a library like no other. The Crofton Library, as it was known to the locals, was a place steeped in history, whispers of which echoed through its musty corridors. But there was something more to this library, something eerie and unsettling, that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to venture into its depths. It was a gloomy evening when Emily, a curious and adventurous soul, decided to pay a visit to the Crofton Library. She had always been drawn to the macabre, the mysterious, and the unexplained. Her fascination with the occult and the supernatural had led her here, to a place rumored to house the darkest secrets of the town. As she pushed open the heavy oak door, the library welcomed her with a gust of cold, stale air. The flickering candlelight cast long, wavering shadows on the towering bookshelves that lined the walls. Rows upon rows of ancient tomes, their leather-bound spines cracked and faded with time, stood as silent sentinels, guardians of the library's secrets. Emily began to browse the shelves, her fingers trailing over the spines of the books. She could feel the weight of history pressing down on her, a palpable presence that seemed to seep from the very walls. She selected a dusty volume titled The Occult Chronicles of Crofton and settled into a worn velvet armchair by a crackling fireplace. As she delved into the pages, Emily lost track of time. The stories she read were chilling, tales of mysterious disappearances, malevolent spirits, and unsolved murders that had plagued the town for centuries. It was as if the library itself was whispering its dark secrets into her ears, drawing her deeper into its enigmatic embrace. Hours passed, and Emily couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. She glanced around the dimly lit room, her heart pounding. But there was no one else in sight. The library was empty, except for the spectral figures of long-forgotten patrons that seemed to flicker in and out of existence at the periphery of her vision. Just as she was about to close the book and leave, Emily heard a soft, eerie melody wafting through the air. It was the haunting sound of a piano, its keys being played with a melancholic grace. The music seemed to emanate from the depths of the library, drawing her further into its clutches. Tentatively, Emily followed the sound, winding her way through the labyrinthine aisles. She finally reached a hidden chamber, bathed in an eerie blue light. There, at the center of the room, was a grand piano, its keys moving of their own accord, as if played by invisible hands. Before Emily could react, the room's temperature dropped and a voice whispered her name, Emily. She turned, and there, in the corner of the room, stood a spectral figure, dressed in tattered clothing from another era. It was the ghost of a librarian who had perished under mysterious circumstances. The ghostly librarian beckoned Emily closer, and as she approached, he handed her an old, dusty tome. "You must continue our work," he whispered, his voice filled with longing and sorrow. With trembling hands, Emily accepted the book, feeling the weight of its secrets. She knew that she had become a part of the Crofton Library's eerie history, destined to uncover its darkest mysteries and share them with the world. And so, Emily's adventure had only just begun, as she stepped deeper into the shadows of the Crofton Library, where the line between the living and the dead blurred, and the true horrors of the past awaited her discovery.